Hey everybody, it is great to see you back on my channel. Today I have another book review for you. You can see Diego in the back. I hope he's not too much of a distraction. Lay down. So today I'm going to be reviewing the audiobook Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. It was recently published last year, I believe in November, so it's pretty new. But yeah, let me just get straight into my review. Essentially what Born a Crime is about, it's a first-hand autobiographical account of Trevor growing up in South Africa and what it was like during the ending of apartheid. I think what I really enjoyed about this book was everything that it gave to me in terms of vicarious experience. There are many things that he touched on that I would never experience in my everyday life, and I feel like that is the main reason why I enjoyed this book so much. Let's just go over a few of those instances of things that I would never experience in my life that I got to see through his point of view. He talks about going through life growing up in a time when it wasn't allowed to be seen in public with his mother, and he wasn't allowed to be seen in public with his father either, and his mother and father were not allowed to be seen together in public either. And to me, that is something that I honestly, just that small simple thing like blew me away, and that was at the very beginning of this book. So something that is so starkly different from the way that I live now, it kind of set the tone for me, realizing that this book was going to open my eyes a lot further than they were already open. If you don't know who Trevor Noah is, I should say this first. He hosts The Daily Show on Comedy Central, and he is half black, half white. His father, I am not sure if he's a Swiss national, but he is Swiss, so his father is white and his mother is black, and his mother's name is Patricia, and from this book, I'm going to say this in the beginning, she is one of my favorite, not characters because she's an actual human, but she's probably one of the most enjoyable people to hear about. She's just like a crazy strong, independent woman, and she flies in the face of a lot of traditions and norms that are put in her way, and she is a go-getter and a natural, strong-willed human. Anyway, so that's just like literally the briefest thing I could say about Trevor is his career and his nationality. Basically, he's from South Africa. But knowing that, going into this book, I thought this would be a little bit more of like a comedic book, but it happens to be very serious, and I really was surprised by that, and it made it that much more enjoyable for me. Something else that he grew up not doing was being able to play freely outside. His grandmother was always afraid that he would be taken because of his skin color, and he wasn't allowed to be seen with the other black children in his neighborhood, and if he was seen with anyone that was not the same color skin as he had, they were honestly like fearful that he would literally be taken. So he was not allowed to be outside with his cousins, playing in the street, playing with other kids. He would always have to be inside or in the backyard. And I just feel like a lot of aspects of his childhood were impacted simply because of the color of his skin. Another thing that I really enjoyed listening to was his religious upbringing. He mentioned he would go to church, 3 different churches every single Sunday, and his mom was a very devout and religious woman. And I didn't grow up very religious. So, I mean, I've been to church, but that was just something extra that I really enjoyed listening to. Another thing he touches on is going to a really good school and then it being recess time, and he realizes that there is a segregation between races in the play area, and that's the moment when he, being a colored half black, half white person, had to decide who to identify as. Was he going to play with the black kids or play with the white kids? Now, I know that this is not something of the past. Segregation still plagues our countries today and is still all over the place, whether we like to realize that or not. But the way that he talks about it through the perspective of a little kid was just so, I don't know, it just like really stuck with me, and something that him trying to make sense of it and how ridiculous that seemed was just all the much more impactful. That wasn't a proper English sentence, but you get what I'm trying to say. He also learned to become what I like to call a cultural chameleon, and he used language as a tool to break down barriers between different groups, which I thought was super interesting. He talks about how first of all, there are like a ridiculous amount of languages that are spoken in South Africa, and he knew a handful of them. So him being outcast by the color of his skin, he would run into people who would right off the bat stereotype him or put prejudices on him. But he got past those prejudices by using the same language that the other person spoke, and I thought that was ingenious. I actually worked in a lab at university that studied this, or like theories related to this, and so hearing him talk about it and break it down into like everyday sort of concepts was perfectly entertaining for me, and I really enjoyed that aspect. He also touched on what it's like living in a police state, fearing your neighbors, or just always being paranoid, not knowing if someone will like call you out, and just living in that constant fear and how that felt growing up. He also talked about the toxic environment that he grew up in with an alcoholic and abusive stepfather. Those were some of the times where the book got really intense and super, like, I was on the edge of my seat for parts of them. Another thing that was kind of difficult for me, well, not necessarily difficult, but it was like a really intense, like, harsh moment and like kind of hard to digest, something I've never experienced, is the way that the police dealt with domestic violence, or actually the lack of their response to domestic violence in households in South Africa. In particular, the abuse that his mom had to endure, and him having to watch that, and just, I don't know, the way that it is dealt with and talked about is so raw, but also so important to see, that I am just forever like changed. I honestly don't know what else I can say about everything. He grew up, the strides he has taken to get where he is today is amazing. He works hard, he's always worked hard, and he's just had that knack for finding his way through the system. And I highly recommend this book. If you're just looking for a good audiobook, this is the one. If you're looking for a good autobiography or celebrity memoir, this is the one. If you're looking for something to open your eyes and put you in someone else's shoes, this is a good book for you. I can't recommend this book more than I'm trying to do so right now. So just read the book. It's really good. And I would love to know what you guys thought about it if you have read this already. And if you haven't, would you be willing to do so? What do you think of what I thought of the book? And any questions you have about the book, you can of course leave them in the comments below. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you very soon with another video. I feel like I can't talk anymore. But until next time, guys, happy reading and happy writing.